and saying a little bit more about meditation, and then we'll meditate together. So I'm joined by my tech team, which this morning is Michael Yiem, who's already been doing things in the mornings, and Nyana Dai has joined us as well. So yeah, just to let you know, there's 4 of us here in this LBC shrine room this morning. So I hope that the retreats, as it were, got off to a start for you, got off to a good start, and that you're starting to, what's the word, feel like, oh yeah, you're on retreat, you know, and that we're on retreat together. I really enjoyed last night, yesterday evening, and I'm told actually that lots more people sort of tuned in and watched yesterday evening after yesterday evening. So that's one of the advantages, isn't it, of this form as well, in that you can catch up. We can catch up with our sessions. So how many people have we got, Michael, now? 136. So that's great. So we can probably make a start. I was saying to the guys here that I wouldn't start unless we had 100, but we've got 136. So anyway, welcome everybody. My name's Nyana Vacha, and in these 10 o'clock slots, we're going to be having some teaching. It won't always be me. We'll have different members of the team doing the teaching, and then we'll meditate together, and that will take us to 11 o'clock, and then at 11 we'll go into breakout groups where you can talk about how your retreat's going, how your meditation's going, what you're finding useful. You can ask any questions of the breakout groups. Will have people facilitating, hopefully. I mean, depends on numbers and things, and you can ask questions or just discuss how it's going. We've got half an hour in those breakout groups, so that won't be so long. And then at 11:30, we won't all come back into this room. So at the end of the breakout group, that's it for this session. And then the next activity is at 12, where we've got some body work. And today it's Anna who'll be doing a session of yoga for you at 12. Yeah? So that's the sort of shape of the morning from 10 o'clock. And yeah, in terms of the teaching for the 10 o'clock, we're going to be looking at, over the period of the week, we're going to be looking at our system of practice. Don't worry if you don't know what that means. I'll say a little bit more about the first stage of the system of practice, which is integration, this morning. And then, you know, tomorrow we'll move on to the next stage, etc., etc. So what I'm trying to say is that it'll be progressive. It's like a whole course in deepening these morning slots, but of course then the whole thing is progressive. Like if you've already had a chance to meditate this morning and have meditated this morning, then I think you'll go deeper, you know, deeper now. It's not quite, having said that, it's not quite linear. It's not that every meditation will take you deeper. It's just that it'll have a cumulative effect over time. Yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to say a little bit about integration, which is in a way the first stage of the Dharma life, of the spiritual life. I don't just mean in meditation, I mean in life. So it's perhaps easier to say what integration looks like when it's absent, like disintegration, unintegration. What's been got at here is that very often, in fact, most of the time, and in fact, to some degree, this side of enlightenment, you know, I'm not enlightened. I was going to say, hopefully you're not enlightened. If you are, well done. But it's only day one, really. So let's assume you're not. So this side of enlightenment, all of us, we're not fully aligned in our head, in our heart, in our will. We're split. As Rilke said, you know, we're split. We're fragmented. So our head tells us one thing, our heart tells us another, our will does its own thing. You know, for example, Maitravandi last night was saying that we all know that the Dharma makes sense, that to practice the Dharma will enrich us and make us live more meaningful lives and benefit those around us. We know that, probably. If you don't know that, well, there it is. I'm telling you, it's quite straightforward. It will do that. But knowing that with our heads is it's not useless, but it doesn't have very much purchase on what we actually do. Most of the time, most of us are driven by impulses and instincts that are not very conscious. And then afterwards, we sort of, you know, post hoc, we'll sort of rationalize them. So it's very, very common. I still find this after 25 odd years of practice or more, that I want to get up at 6:30 in the morning to meditate, and then 6:30 comes and the alarm goes off. I mean, you know, and then I turn it off, and then the next thing I know, it's 7:30. That's a sort of, well, it's a sort of humiliating but trivial example. There are sort of more serious examples where we sort of know what sort of person we want to be and what sort of life we want to lead, and we never do it. We never lead the life that we were sort of meant to lead. And we get to my age, middle age, or older. Some people get to their deathbed and feel that they didn't do what they were meant to do. I'm using that because it's not always what we want to do. I'm trying to indicate that there's something deeper that we're not always in touch with, but we can get in touch with, which is, what is my life sort of about? What should I be doing with my life? And yes, so often we don't live the life that we're meant to live. That's because we're not integrated. Something in us knows that this is what I want to do, or should be doing, or meant to be doing, and then the heart and the will aren't aligned with that knowledge. So meditation, one of the boons of meditation, one of the fruits of meditation, one of the first things that starts to happen is that we start to recognize our lack of integration. Those impulses and instincts that were not very conscious become more conscious. And then when they become more conscious, we've got more purchase on them. We've got more chance to work with them, to transform our desires, our wills, our impulses into a direction that is more aligned to what we want to be doing with our lives, what we meant to be doing with our lives. So in a way, becoming conscious of our unintegration or lack of integration is a real step forward, And how that manifests in meditation is we keep getting distracted. We know that we want to focus on the breath. We're going to be doing a period of the mindfulness of breathing. We know that we want to focus on the breath. We know that it's a good idea. We settle down, we do all the right things, and then we get distracted. As soon as the bell goes and we're on our own, as it were, we get distracted. So that sort of distraction, there are things that we can do to work with that distraction. We can bring ourselves back to the body and back to our feelings, and then back to the breath. We can work with that, and in a way, that is the art of meditation: keeping coming back, keeping working. But what I want to just underline here is that the very fact that we keep falling off the focus of our concentration, of our mindfulness, is an indication of our lack of integration. And it's fine, as it were, to be unintegrated. I mean, it's not fine, but what I mean, it's completely human and understandable. This side of enlightenment, we are split. It's like, well, Bhante Sangharashvata says that it's not even like we're one person. He says that particularly when we're starting the Dharma life, he says that we're often like a bundle of different selves loosely tied together with a name and an address, a bundle of different selves pulling in different directions, often loosely tied together with a name and address. And that's often how it feels. So what I want to say is, don't worry about lack of integration. It's normal, it's natural. That is the unenlightened human condition. And don't give up, because we can become more integrated. Now, some people are naturally very disciplined and focused and able to galvanize their will and do what they want to do, whether that's, make £1 million or become CEO of some corporate firm or start their own business and make it successful. Some people are very able to do that. So in some senses, if you're like that, well done. That shows that there is integration, will and head and heart are aligned. But there's more integration that's always possible. So, so for example, it's possible to be very disciplined and very focused and run a marathon and do whatever you set your mind on. It's very possible to do that and still leave out the heart, to still leave out our emotional world, to still leave out a sense of connection, of love, of empathy, of beauty, of gratitude, of meaning. It's still possible to be integrated, but in a way that is somehow narrow and leaving a large part of us out. And typically, it's our emotional world that gets left out. So that's something to note. Last week, I was talking about Free Solo, this wonderful film, more than a film, this achievement of Alex Honnold climbing without ropes or any equipment, climbing El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. I mean, it's a horrifically impressive feat. But what he was saying is that he has a very particular type of mind that can focus, but he doesn't easily feel anything. He even says that his drive to achieve superhuman kind of feats of endurance and courage is driven by a bottomless pit of self-loathing. That's what he says. It's a bottomless pit of self-loathing. And his heart has closed down around that. So meditation and the Dharma life is not about just a narrow-willed integration in that sense, although there's something really impressive about that. It's also about opening the heart and working with perhaps more difficult emotions. Yeah. Ideally, what we're aiming for is, well, a Buddha. A Buddha would, there would be no inner conflicts, but also there would be a complete freedom of all energies. Head, heart, will, drive, everything would be liberated and aligned. And that would be not only freedom, it would be bliss. Maitreya Bandhu earlier on was talking about Samadhi. Samadhi is this state of mind where all our energies are flowing freely and in a way that is aligned with the object of meditation, the breath, for example. And it's extremely pleasurable. It's sort of blissful. There are states of mind that can open up in Samadhi, higher superconscious states of mind, which are said to be the most pleasurable states of mind that human beings are capable of, short of enlightenment. Uh, they are short of enlightenment because when you stop meditating, you come back down, as it were. So they're not permanent, and therefore they're not the goal. It can have a very positive effect on our mind. They can soften and make our mind more malleable and flexible and open to life. So samadhi is a beautiful state, and it arises when there's more integration. Yeah. Okay. Now, having said that, what I want to now emphasize is that you can't sort of jump from an unintegrated state to a state of samadhi. You can't will yourself there. You can't do what Alex Honnold did in terms of this endurance and courage and this feat of will. You can't do that with samadhi. You have to be prepared to sit with whatever's arising in your experience. And if what's arising is that you're distracted or uncomfortable or upset or distressed in some way or resentful or angry or bored or whatever it is, we have to learn to sit with that, even embrace that as our mind, as our being, and not sort of lose patience with ourselves, not tell ourselves off for not being in samadhi. You can't turn samadhi into some sort of goal, or if you do, it won't work. You have to work with whatever's in your experience. That's what meditation really is being prepared to work with whatever arises, starting from where you are. That's another way of putting it. You start from where you are and you work from the ground up. That's always what needs to happen in meditation. And that's what leads to results. That's what leads to true transformation, to true integration. Yeah. Sometimes you might be blessed with samadhi, but it's like a free gift. It's like a blessing that descends on you. You can't force your way to that. Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit about working from where we are, from starting from where we are. Maybe a little bit more about that. It means staying with our physical experience in the body, our sort of direct sensations. So when I say connect with sensations in the belly, for example, or in the legs, it's really important that we learn how to contact and feel those sensations without some sort of conceptual idea of my belly or my legs. It's not about an idea. It's not about a concept. It's about direct sensations of temperature, of pressure, of tingling, of humidity, or whatever it is. It's direct sensations. You don't need to name them in the way that I've just done. You need to feel them directly without concepts. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's not like, oh, do I like my belly or not? Oh, I'm putting on some weight. No, it's not that. It's direct experience of sensations. That's what I mean by starting from where we are. Yeah? Direct experience of sensations. If the mind goes off into distraction, well, then it's really important to acknowledge without telling yourself off that that's what's happened. So yes, we take responsibility, but we don't tell ourselves off. You acknowledge it with patience. And then you don't come back to the breath immediately. You come back to the body and its sensations, a sense of being grounded on your seat, a sense of the weight falling into the earth, a sense of softening any areas of tension. Keep softening the face, the shoulders, the belly, the legs. You keep doing all of that, and then you find the breath again. So you take your time, there's no rush, and then you allow yourself to be absorbed as much as you can, and then you'll probably get distracted again, and you do the same thing again. It's also quite good to, if a distraction is habitual, I mean, what I mean is if you keep getting drawn to the same story, then there's some emotion underneath the story that needs attention. So if I keep getting drawn to an argument that I had with somebody, I don't know, 4 years ago, that's a clue that there's some unresolved emotion there for me. And if that happens, then it's really important that we try and contact the emotion, not the story, but the actual felt sense of how that emotion feels in the body. It wants to be felt, and it's because we've not allowed ourselves to feel the sadness, the hurt, the rage, whatever it is, that we keep bringing it back. It keeps coming back, and we keep getting lost. So look out for those stuck emotions. And the clue is if you keep getting drawn to the same story. Yeah, that's another thing to do. So acknowledgement of what's going on in our mind is really important. So I've said two things. I've said start from where you are and then acknowledge what's going on. If you are getting concentrated, well, then that's great. You can just acknowledge that and it will help you get more concentrated. In a way, there's no more sort of work to do. Yeah? It's quite simple then. And there's one more thing I want to say before we meditate, and that's having confidence in yourself. Shraddha is sometimes translated as confidence. Sometimes it's translated as faith. Faith is a broader translation. Have faith in yourself. Have confidence that you can do this and you can grow through practice, even if your experience is that every 2 breaths you're distracted. That's fine. If you keep at it, you will grow. It will change. It's like any learning any art. So have confidence in yourself. Don't lose heart. It's very normal what's happening to you. The human mind, this side of enlightenment, is unintegrated, and it can become more integrated. So yeah, have confidence. Don't lose heart. Don't keep telling yourself off, and don't keep undermining yourself by, if you notice undermining thoughts like, oh, I'm no good at this, I'm rubbish. Notice and acknowledge those thoughts, but don't believe them. They're just unhelpful, doubting, undermining thoughts that aren't true. Yeah. Habits that are unhelpful and not useful. Okay, so starting from where we are, and I'll lead us in the meditation, acknowledging what's going on honestly, but without telling yourself off, and then working appropriately with whatever's going on, and not losing heart, staying confident that you can do this. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about working to become more integrated. And we'll do a period of mindfulness of breathing now. I'll lead us into the practice with a body awareness, and then I'll ring the bells for the 4 stages of the mindfulness of breathing. And the bells are there as a structure to help you, but also do feel free to, in a way, work with the stages as you want to work with. So if you don't feel ready to move on from the counting when stage 3 happens, well, then stay with the counting. Take responsibility for working appropriately with your own mind. Yeah. Okay, very good. And I'll read some poetry. I'm going to read Rumi again. And when we start meditating, one of the team is going to dim the lights so that we have a bit more of a minute of atmosphere. So thanks, Yanadai. You can turn the lights off. Okay, so settling into your posture, you might want to look away from the screen. You might even want to sit in front of your shrine and listen to my voice, but not have the glare of the screen. So making sure you're comfortable in your seat. If you're sitting on a chair, that your feet are flat on the ground. And that you're not slumped in the chair, but there's a sense of uprightness in the upper body. So listening to any sounds that you can hear around you. There's my voice, but there might be other sounds you can hear. So you have a broad awareness of your environment through sound. And see if there are noises around you apart from my voice. See if you can acknowledge them in your experience without irritation. You can just let them be there. They're just sound. That's fine. They don't need to disturb you. And then let's take a few deeper breaths. Particularly as you breathe out, having a sense of letting go of holding on in the body, letting go of the weight of the body, letting go of areas of tension in the body. Letting the earth take the weight of the body. And feeling the weight dropping down through the sitting bones and through the points of contact you make with the support under you and with the ground, your legs, your feet. Feeling the weight dropping through. It's like the body is like a mountain rooted to the earth. Stable, still, strong, rooted. And bringing awareness to sensations in the legs. See if you can allow the muscles in the legs to soften a little bit more. Imagining the muscles softening, the legs becoming heavy. And the face, softening your face, the brow, the muscles around the eyes, and around the mouth. Letting them go. And the shoulders can also soften. See if you can allow them to fall away a little bit more from the neck, from the ears, fall away down the sides of your body. And bringing awareness to the hands and all the myriad sensations you can feel in your hands, the palms and fingers and thumbs. Letting the hands be heavy and soft. And also notice any sensations in the belly, inside the belly. Imagining the belly softening as you bring awareness to it. So having an overall experience of the body and its sensations, a direct experience of the sensations, an overall sense of the whole body. but also a sense of how the heart is, your general mood. Your emotional state. And without losing awareness of this overall experience, starting to notice the breath in the body and the sensations of breathing. Let that come into focus more and more without losing this background overall awareness. This human shape is a ghost made of distraction and pain, sometimes pure light, sometimes cruel, trying wildly to open the image tightly held within itself. Mindfulness of breathing. beginning to relax your effort. And just sitting for a little longer. This human shape is a ghost made of distraction and pain, sometimes pure light, sometimes cruel, trying wildly to open the image tightly held within itself. Good. Good. So very nice to sit with you all. And yeah, as I say, the teachings will build on each other, but this sense of starting from where you are, stay with that always. So I really wish you well for the rest of the day. We're now going to break out into smaller groups for half an hour. And as I say, then at 12 o'clock, there's yoga. This afternoon, there's some study with Vidyadhara. And then this evening, Subhadramati is going to be giving a Dharma talk. And then there'll also be some meditation and ritual this evening. So I hope you have a really good rest of the day on retreat. And for me, for now, just want to say goodbye and wish you well. The technical crew, is there anything people need to do to break out into groups? No. Okay, so just stay where you are, as it were, and you'll find yourself in a group very, very shortly, where you can talk about how things are going so far. Good. See you soon.